ये साइज थोड़ा बड़ा हो सकता है क्या? इसका चैट कैसे है? ठीक है. Okay. So, Namaskar viewers. Welcome to this first live session for this course on Introduction to Cognitive Psychology. I am Dr. Naveen Kashyap, your subject matter expert for this course. This session will try to do a one-on-one interaction with you so that the questions and suggestions you have for this course, we can discuss them and then provide you possible answers for all those queries that you might have for this course. So I invite you all to join this first online session and put up your questions for me to answer them with the available knowledge that I have for this particular subject area. Now, questions can be put to me through the online YouTube comment box, or it can be posted as a comment on the Steam platform that we are presently connected through. Beside that, you can always put your questions on the forum that has been given to you as a part of this course. And if none of these work, you can send in your questions to my direct email. And depending on the time that I have, I will try to answer those questions for you. So let's start taking questions and answering them. The first question comes from Diksha Dikshit. So good afternoon, Diksha. And Diksha asks about plasticity of perception. The concept of plasticity in perception basically involves the idea that it can be modified. What does it mean that a perception can be modified? It means that when you are interpreting something, depending on the available background knowledge, which is available to you through top-down processes of the brain, and other extra information which is coming to you through the sense organs, you can modify your perceptions or interpretations of stimuli in real time. One concept that comes to my mind related to this idea of plasticity of perception is the update that is happening in working memory. And the concept is called working memory update. What happens there is the executive processes in working memory. It has three basic functions. One, updating of information so that you keep current to your goal. Second, inhibition, which is reducing interferences. And third is switching, which is changing between modes of input. Similar to this is the idea of plasticity in perception. It pertains to the fact that real-time modification and upgradation of interpretation of the stimuli that you are trying to make meaning of can be made. So that, I believe, is the idea of plasticity of perception. So all those learners who are here with me, I'll encourage them to put up questions. One more information that I have for you for this particular courses. I'm reviewing all the transcript files personally, and very soon you will have modified transcript files available to you for this course. Now, these transcript files that you have, they have been thoroughly viewed and corrected to get rid of any problems that might have come or any small errors that might have been in the videos. So I'll encourage people who are learning this course to go through the modified transcript files, which part of it is available, and I'm still modifying other files. So by the end of this course, or even before the course ends, these files will be available. So in addition to watching the videos, please go through these transcript files, which will provide you with an opportunity and updated information about this course. So thank you, Diksha, and other people who are also here. I suggest that they start putting up their questions, and I'll be trying to answer these questions for you in the best possible way with the limited knowledge that I have about this course. Now, the medium of instruction of this course is in English, but I also welcome people who would like to answer the questions or would like to hear the answer of their questions in Hindi to be part of this online interaction. So I'm equally good with both the languages. And if by any chance you're not asking questions and you're not participating in this online interaction, please be part of it. Ask the questions in Hindi, and I'll try to answer those questions for you. I'll see to it that in future, we also have a Hindi version of the course for those students who are from the regional medium. It will help people who are not proficient with the English language to learn about cognitive psychology or Sangayanatmak Manovigyan, as it is called in Hindi. So let's switch back to the online questions which are coming. I'll take up the next question. So it is from, again, Diksha. And so Diksha has this question. Suppose one of the relatives going through chemotherapy, how our understanding about learning theories will help in this case. From what I understand, chemotherapy is provided to people who are getting treatment for some sort of cancer. Now, your understanding in learning or learning theories how would that help in relating to these people? Is what your question is, as I understand. Theories of learning teaches you how to enhance your knowledge. So, particularly principles of learning, like conditioning and anticipation of reward, or concepts in social learning. For example, copying the role model. These concepts may be helpful for you in order to make a more concrete relation with people who are undergoing therapy. Learning therapies are also available, which are an extension of learning theories, which will provide an opportunity for you to interact in a more immersive way with the people who are going through this kind of a treatment program. So I hope that answers your question. We have Punam Gupta, and good afternoon. And she talks about brain metabolic rate and can it be calculated. So brain metabolic rate, at present I'm not able to recall the method to calculate it, but yes, the metabolic rate of the brain can be figured out, and it can be expressed in terms of brain activations, because the more activity the brain does is somehow directly related to the type of metabolism that is happening in the brain. So I might have to look at available literature and then give you a more concrete answer. For now, it is brain metabolic rate can be expressed as how efficiently the brain is functioning, and an indirect measure of that can be in terms of brain activity, which can be measured as the electroencephalographic potential changes that is happening in the brain. Dr. Ashi Abbasi has a question is, what is the role of brain in memory and learning? It's a very nice question. And the other day I was reading an article in Scientific American, and they're trying to express how mental representations can be studied. Now, the relation between brain and mind as such is not very clear. We do know that the doings of the brain is expressed in terms of the mind. And the relation between these two, the mind and brain, is not a direct relationship. Although the mind and brain can be thought of as a software and hardware, but this is a very loose way of expressing it, as this kind of analogy that I'm using is not very correct. So then, what is the role of the physiological structure brain in the concepts of mind called memory and learning? Memory and learning are processes of storing information and modifying information which is gathered through our senses. The brain helps us understand how this information is stored. One possible way of storing this information is in terms of mental representations. So, what are mental representations? Now, I'll again quote back to this recent article that I was reading the other day on how mental representations are stored and what are they. For example, the eye has certain group of cells, or in this case neurons, which code for straight line or edges in terms of darkness and lightness. Now, for very simple learning, when these cells fire, information is relayed to the networks in the brain that the eye in question is viewing a straight line or is seeing a contour or a difference between a light and a dark region. This is simple learning, and this then can be interpreted in terms of identifying where is the boundary between the foreground and background. This is a very simple learning, and building onto this, there are other complex things which can be learned. So brain then is that part which helps in storing this information, which is collected through the various sense organs or the world, the personal sensory world of humans. The mind is actually the memory and learning. So that is how they are related. But the exact relation that exists between these two has not been pinpointed on, or people are still working on understanding how does this happen. So I think that answers your question, Dr. Ashi. So Mohammed Sidan has a question. Good afternoon. So can you please explain the higher studies opportunity of cognitive psychology? The higher study opportunities of cognitive psychology generally happens in terms of the academic field. So you could do a master's and then a doctorate in it and enter the field of research, where you'll get this opportunity to work with how the brain and mind is connected. There are a number of cognitive processes, and so you may decide to choose any of these cognitive processes. If you want to take the industry way, cognitive psychology can branch up into two fields that I'm aware of. One, in terms of understanding consumer psychology or advertisements in the field of advertisements, consumer psychology, consumer perceptions, market related facts. And the second is something which is related to engineering psychology, which is using psychology to solve engineering related problems. Now that's a new course that I'll try to float the next semester. And what happens there is we're using principles of psychology and principles of engineering, integrating them together to understand how to define people and machines, the relationship between these two, and how to make this relationship more fruitful. So these are all the possible ways through which you can progress in cognitive psychology. Job opportunities, as I said, you could be a human engineer, You could work in the academia. You could also be working in industry in terms of help designing products and modifying products. And you could also be working in the service sector. So job opportunities are there, but it's not as abundant as all other jobs that you see around you. So you may have to do a little bit of more research as to where you can get the jobs. But academia industry are two places where you can very easily fit for a job. So thank you, Diksha. And you have Rishikesh asking this question. Good afternoon. So my question today is, how can we increase the cognition of students? One possible way which I think of increasing cognition per se is to increase mental concentration. And that is possible through increasing people's focus or students' focus. How do you do that? Many ways are available, but one possible way is making children interact with what you are teaching or what you are making them learn. How do you do that? Make things interesting and appealing. What other ways? Research suggests that a 10-minute concentration exercise before a learning session increases the chances of success on cognitive tasks by 2 times. So students can be encouraged to mentally concentrate or focus on their mental activities so that the level of activity or the level of randomness in the brain goes to a low value. In those states, the brain is more receptive and it can help you learn and do cognitive activities in a more efficient manner. So I have JRF Adhyan, and the question is, good afternoon, sir. My question is, what is the difference between the retrieval process between short-term and long-term memory? In both short-term and long-term memory, the retrieval is more or less the same. The concept of short-term memory is modified into working memory. And the whole idea of how this long-term and short-term memory was conceived by Atkinson and Schifrin no more exists. So when we are doing retrieval from short-term memory, it is a time-based process. Remember, the short-term memory, the classic conception of short-term memory suggests that information can be encoded or kept alive in short-term memory for at the most 30 seconds without retrieval. One problem that can happen while retrieving information from short-term memory is active interference. So you have a piece of information which is in short-term memory. You have not repeated it as such. And if a similar information interacts with it or is available and competes with the original information, you will lose both the information. Encoding in short-term memory is acoustic. Retrieval and long-term memory, on the other hand, happens through either recognition and recall. While in recognition, we identify what information is available, and that is the end of it. In recall, we not only try to understand what information is being queried, but we also reproduce the information. Recognition is more like a photo album where you need to pick out which friends you know. Recall is more about questions like which of our friends you remember. And so they may vary from people to people and is a more extensive process. So that is how retrieval happens from the short term and the long term memory. Dr. Ashi has another question. So give link for this article, role of brain learning. Sure. What I'll do is I will send this link to you, or I'll put it up on the forum. You yourself can do a little bit of search the journal called Journal of Scientific American. And there's a recent article about how mental representations are stored. But I'll have to go through all those things that I have read in the recent past, and I'll post a link for the article. Bhavna Jan has a question. Apply these theories, schools of thought into practical life and then with your clients. So these theories and principles of cognitive psychology, how are they useful? It's a nice question. And how can they applied to clients? One good example I'll try to explain through is illusions. If you are familiar with the idea that illusions occur and what kind of cues the brain uses for forming illusions, you stand a higher chance of not falling in this trap of illusions. Another example that I can use here is in terms of decision making. Now, while making decisions, in most cases, people do not know the outcome. So it's making decisions without available information or too much available information. How should one behave? There are models which suggest that there is a prescriptive way and there is a descriptive way of making decisions under uncertainties. This is the same thing as having low or no information about those events which decide the fate of a decision that you're going to make. The prescriptive ways suggest that there are some known ways of responding. But the descriptive way suggests that even if these are the ways in which people should respond, this is how people actually respond. Let's take the example of risk taking. How much risk do people take while playing gambles in a casino? Now, if you are aware of these theories of decision making, which explain how decisions are made under uncertainty and what are the pitfalls that people can get or tend to get into, you will make better decisions, and as a fact, explain it to your clients so that they also, without going into too much details of how these things are happening, make better and efficient decisions. So I think this is how this theory should be applied. There is no one-to-one direct application, but learning from these theories can be modified and integrated into your everyday lives and everyday doings. Media editing. What is the relationship between brain, meditation, and spiritualism? I can explain brain and meditation. Spiritualism is a little bit difficult to pinpoint, but one direct relation is spiritualism is the way or the process through which people can meditate, and by this meditation they can lower the brain activity or reduce the brain activity to such a level that higher levels of cognitive function can be performed. And this is only possible when the brain functions in the most efficient way. Meditation sort of controls unnecessary activities and increases the available cognitive resources so that these can be directed at more proficient jobs or more important jobs that people have at hand. So that is what I would think about, and that is what my answer would be about this question. Bhavna, so another question also, do we get to learn about the cognitive behavior therapy in this course? Unfortunately, no. The course doesn't teach you cognitive behavior therapy. That is a part of therapy and related to the course on psychopathology. At present, I have not floated this course on psychopathology, or even if there is a course on applied psychology as such, they would teach about behavioral therapy programs. But in case you want to get to know about some of these therapies, you may write a mail to me and I'll take my time from the academic works that I have and I'll try to answer this question for you. But definitely in simplest manner, this course will not cover cognitive behavior therapy. Is Cogit the only entrance door to higher studies? I am not aware of Cogit. First of all, Mohammed Sidan. So if you could elaborate on that. For higher studies, if you want to do a doctorate in this field, GATE is offering you this opportunity, so you can sit for the graduate test for entrance test for engineering, and GATE has a paper. This year also a lot of people appeared for this GATE, and once you qualify it, you will be ready to do a doctoral work at any of the IITs and NITs. Beside that, universities also offer PhD programs, uh, which you can get enrolled to. Master's program or also bachelor's and master's program or integrated master's program also available in most industries. But this Cogit I have not seen before, I'm not aware of. So if you can elaborate a little on that, maybe I'll be able to answer your question in a more refined manner. Rishikesh has other questions. So thank you, Rishikesh. Thank you, Dhyan. Thank you, Bhavna. And other people who are also with me, please put your questions forward. One more information which I have is do read the updated transcript for this course. These transcripts are re-verified by me, and errors, if any, into the video lectures have been dealt with in these transcripts, this modified transcript. So beside looking at the videos, also read the transcript. These are short transcripts for each of these course, and they'll really help you in understanding the course in a better manner. Besides that, you also have the forum where you can put in your questions, and an email which I have. You can send in a question there too. So people registered here are online with us. We still have around about 10 to 15 minutes left. If you have questions, please ask those questions. Let me now take one question from the sheet that was floated. And this question is by Bhavtej. And the question is, what book are you going to suggest? So the book that I'd suggest is Cognitive Psychology in and Out of the Laboratory. This is by I cannot remember the name right now, but I'll post the name. This book is also mentioned on the course page. Okay, the author is called Kathleen M. Galoti. You can refer to this book. Most of the course material comes from this book. It's a cheap buy. And there are other books also available on cognitive psychology, which you can refer to. But if you refer to the new transcripts that are being uploaded, and soon you will have all the transcripts available, and listen to the lectures, plus complete the assignment, you would have a good opportunity of learning this course. Plus, you'll also score good marks in your exams, the final exam for this course. So let's take some more questions. So is there any course in which give us idea about psychotherapies and clinical practice? Rishikesh, there is no course right now about clinical practices and psychotherapies. But in future, I may think of floating a course on psychopathology, where we'll discuss the various psychological problems that arises in individuals and the way to classify these problems. Not only that, we'll also discuss the possible methods of therapy for these problems. So right now, I don't have a course on this. There may be other courses on psychopathology, which you can refer to, but maybe soon in near future, I may have a course on that. So UVIGR, so reading material could be same as available on application only or any other material we should use. As I said, there is a book by Catherine Bilotti. It's a cheap buy in the sense that it won't cost you more than 300 to 400 rupees, which I think you can spend. If that is a problem, uh, parts of it may be available on the internet, or some of you are uh, associated with libraries. You can ask your library to buy it for you, or buy a copy and share it among friends. The course material in terms of transcript, it was outdated and it needed correction. So I'm doing it. At present, 50% of the work is done. I'm still doing it, and the corrected manuscripts modified in all possible ways will be available to you before the exam, so you can refer to that. Assignments which are provided, look into those assignments, try to solve it, and these one-to-one sessions where you can put in your questions, all taken together would be more than enough for scoring good marks. Thank you, Bhavna, for the nice comments. Ashish, how do you relate brain role learning and teaching methods at different levels of students, likely secondary and senior secondary and college level? So, brain's role in learning and teaching methods in terms of students from the senior secondary and secondary. There is a very interesting fact, and that is related to how concepts and categorization happens. I'll give you an example. Small children, and this concept is borrowed from a theory by Jean Piaget or Vygotsky. I'm not very sure because this is not my primary area, but I did read this theory long back. And what the theory said is how concept formation happens in children. There are stages. There is a primary stage, a sensory motor stage, a perceptual learning stage. And one interesting fact is, take a tube, a cylinder, fill it with water, pour this water on a flat surface, and small children will be amazed as if magic has happened. How this big amount of water has now disappeared. What they don't understand is the concept of volume. They see it and they make conceptualizations or representations based on these conceptualizations. The concept of volume is an abstract thing. So whether it is a cylinder or a flat surface, the total amount of water will remain the same. But in terms of sight, in a cylinder, the same amount of water will be more than in a flat surface. And this is conceptualization, development of concepts. As these children develop these abstract concepts in physics and mathematics, they start taking things as it is. Their imagination fades. So as think of it in this way, smaller children have higher imaginations, but lower abstract conceptualizations. On the other hand, as you grow older, your abstract conceptualization increases, but you tend to lose on imaginations because the brain now has distinct, focused ways of thinking. And that is why small children can come up with ingenious solution to problems. But as you grow older, you get into this mental set or this idea of redundant solutions to problem. I think if you look at things in this particular approach, way of thinking, this should give you more extensive ideas of how this theory of learning and brain can be applied to learning and teaching in secondary, senior secondary, and other courses for students. Bhavna Jain, so can you suggest a good book to study about psychopathology or some online articles or author? There was a book when we were doing our masters that was called Kaplan, Kaplan, and I don't remember the book. It was Psychopathology in Everyday Life or something like that, and the author was called Kaplan. Nowadays, you have a lot of books available, and these books will be very helpful for understanding psychopathology. You do have a book called Synopsis of Psychiatry. I don't remember the name of the authors, but that's also a good book for learning about psychopathology. Let me do one thing. Let me go back and see which is the best book available for psychopathology, and I'll post that as a link, or maybe drop me a mail and I'll answer to that mail. So Rishikesh, thank you, Rishikesh. So, sir, thank you. Harshi, thank you very much, sir, giving insightful information about the research paper. Thank you, Harshi. So other people who are with me, please go ahead, ask your questions. We still have 5 to 10 more minutes left in this lecture. This is not the only lecture that we have. We have 2 more online sessions. So I believe some of you will join me in the second online session for this course, where you'll have more questions and I'll have the opportunities to answer these questions for you. So do join me back in next sessions. So Bhavna, thank you. My email, Bhavna, is available at IIT Guwahati website. I don't have anything for writing it right now. Just go to IIT Guwahati and type my name, or just type my name on Google and you may get an email. Yes. So thank you, Rekha. You have put the email. So you have the email. So my associate here is very helpful. She has put the email. You can take the email and you can put the question. So I think I'll wind up for this session for today. As I said, we have 2 more sessions plus a forum and also a personal email where you can put in your questions. And I'll wind up the session for today. Let's meet in the next session. So until the next time, Thank you all from this MOOCs studio at IIT Guwahati. Goodbye. And until we meet again, keep reading. Thank you.